Bill coming back again. I got to do a fast thing here on MK Ultras. This is going to be a fast video just to show that, you know, I was part of some of this and I realized I'm part of an MK Ultra program back in '84. I was at DeVry and I took night courses, and it was back in '84. We were using 686 systems. But anyway, I built all kinds of satellite, put together different satellite systems for C-band system. And I did a lot of other sync pulse generators. I built decoders. I built AM, FM radio transmitters. No big deal. It's all basically solid state. I mess with tubes. And I built decoders, sync pulse generator systems to decode things. I was in decoding. I was into decoding signals. And I built all kinds of stuff. But anyway, to make a long story short, they had recruiters that were coming in, and I was like, you know, they kept coming, interrupting me. I didn't really like it, but they were from different universities, just checking things out with different students. And there were some of them from, I don't know, I didn't inquire where they're from. They were just very interested in certain people, you know. You know, I did my thing, man. You know, I was out having fun with it, going out dating, doing stuff like everybody was doing, you know, just like everybody at that age was doing, you know. But I spent a lot of time. I was compulsive with some of the work that I was doing. I was building decoding systems and stuff, and the data encryption encoders and stuff I was building for satellite systems, building them, you know, from scratch pretty much. I mean, but anyway, what was interesting about it was they had a parapsychology unit that was dealing, that came in actually, and I was wondering, why is there a parapsychology unit coming in? This is just a university for, not even university at the time I went, it wasn't DeVry University, it was DeVry. And I said, why do I have to take a psychology course? I'm not trying to learn about but it had to do with the electronics that I was working, because a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with, I've dealt with a lot of different waveforms, and a lot of these waveforms, some were, you know, square waves, there were some different sine waves, all different types of signals I dealt with. So I built a lot of stuff, but the bottom line is this, that they wanted to introduce something new to us. That, you know, I wasn't into, you know, any of this mind control. I didn't know anything about any of this type of shit. It didn't really, you know, do anything to me. But I just basically wanted to do what I was doing, and it's in my electronics. But this is what was interesting. They came in with, we were using 686 systems. They came in with Pentium system laptops. And I was using Tektronix spectrum analyzers for, you know, analyzing, you know, basically, you know, RF signals and what have you. Well, they came in, and to make a long story short, they were showing us different types of wave patterns that they're studying and stuff, and they were actually said they were psychoactive thought patterns, and they were biphase electric pulses, which were actually these were actually Lilly waves in short terms, okay, and they were actually psychoactive, and they were actually they would actually alter your neurons of your brain to work at a certain frequency. So, you know, it would stimulate your brains to work at that frequency. But anyway, they had an interface unit that they used, and they said basically these Lilly waves and everything were basically to control your mind. And I'm saying, you know, I've heard nothing like that. But they would entrain your brain waves to actually, your neurons would sync up with that signal that was coming on. It would cause them to work at that frequency. So when your brains are working at that frequency, they have control of your brain. Okay? Well, anyway, I was not hooked up physically to it. They had a computer and an interface hooked up. So they had the computer software and then an interface coming off the USB port, which they basically just hooked up to a simple radio transceiver. And this was a 40 hertz signal, the simple sine wave that you would see, but over the sine wave was a Lilly wave. If you look on the oscilloscope, you can see it. And it was superimposed over the residual carrier signal. And basically what they made us understand is that, you know, basically your brain waves and everything, the neurons in your brain, if it's not a bipulse, it has to be a bipulse. If it's not a biphase pulse, it could damage your brain neurons, okay? And what that means is this, okay? If it's not at the right, a biphase pulse, what will happen is your neuron has to be at the frequency of your brain exactly for it to work. And if it's not, it could cause damage to your brain if it's not a biphase pulse. It has to be that. The biphase electric pulse is what they were interested in, and this was a psychoactive signal. So what it could do is entrain your brain waves remotely to do pretty much anything, this lily wave. So anyway, that's basically what we did, and I was part of a simple experiment, and I sat there, and what would happen is when this lily wave hit, your neurons were changed to work at that frequency. The water molecules and crystals would explode, they said, in your brain, and would cause you to become dizzy, and I got dizzy. After I was hit with the lily wave, I was very dizzy. And I was feeling just really weak and sort of tired. I was exposed to this signal. I couldn't explain it, but I was hit with this lily wave. And that's explained to what happened. The water molecules and all that, there was an explosion taking place in my brain because of this pulse they sent in. This bioelectric pulse was only in the lily wave. And it altered my neurons to work at the frequency. It trained my brain waves to work at the frequency around 40 hertz. That the lily wave was, and you could see it on I saw the exact on the spectrum analyzer what we're doing. On the spectrum analyzer, I could see what this thing was. So that's interesting in a whole. But then they went even farther with it. They were nesting encoded signal within the lily wave. Nested pulses of information were put in this waveform. So basically, they were able to go further than just control the brain, but also with the encoding they were using, our brain decoded it. If it was at that frequency, you could see on the spectrum analyzer a simple, our own brainwave frequency was changed. You can see when it changes it, it's altering it. You can see on the spectrum analyzer, it's changed. But anyway, I'll get back a little more into it, but that's part of basically I was part of a control group, and it was kind of interesting. I went home with headaches all the time, and it was really wild. I mean, that's just a little thing, but these recruiters were coming in, and our neuron brain pathways were resonating basically at that frequency. It caused it to resonate at the frequency of these lily waves or superimposing. And it just basically, like I said, it made you tired, a little dizzy. I didn't have any thought patterns. It just made me changed my brain thinking. I just got headache. It didn't feel right. But then they started putting encoded messages through the wave. And once they started superimposing different stuff over it, then I started feeling thought patterns coming in. My brain was I was feeling what they were sending me, more or less. It's hard to really explain. And then after that program was over, I went back to work and they wiped my brain somehow. I didn't even remember anything anymore about it. Now it comes back a little bit. So I had to share some of that stuff with you guys and stuff. And like I said again, I was part of has to be part of an MK Ultra program, and it was a parapsychology team that came out and was doing it. And after that, they were doing EEG experiments on me throughout my life because of my brain. And they were doing brain telepathy research at a lot of facilities I went to. I want to go through all that shit. But I'm just kind of telling you, I had to have been some type of a candidate for this because they were doing research on me at this time at devry when I was there. So I'm going to say peace out, signing. Have to share just a little bit of the history of some of the stuff that they were doing, the stuff I was doing at devry, because I was there for, like I said, a whole year doing stuff, or 2 years. And after that, I went to work for different companies. I did stuff for Motorola. I did stuff for Northrop Grumman. I did all kinds of stuff in aerospace. And so I was, like I said again, I liked doing what I was doing. I was good at what I was doing. I had to have been a candidate. So I had to share some of that. Peace out with everybody. Bill signing and everything. And hope you enjoyed just a little video that just shows you that I had to deal with some of this stuff. I was involved in some type of a program at an early age. Bill signing out. The world is not what it is. I'll get back with everybody later. Peace out.